Uh, hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. Sorry about that. I think there was some confusion how to find you, but we found you.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm Ariana. Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
So, how did you become a part of the project? Obviously, you know Allison from like a little show you did a couple years ago.
Yeah, that may be one of the reasons I became part of this project. Um, she, her and Dave actually wrote this role and said, "Hey, we have this role we wrote for you." So I was like, "Okay, that sounds fun." Um, they've obviously become good friends, and Alice and I had this relationship, friendship since community that we've maintained over the years. And so it was really nice to. Receive a message one day from Allison saying, "Hey, we wrote this role for you. Do you want to grow a mustache and join us in Portland?"
I was going to ask about the mustache. Like, whose idea was that? Was that Allison or yours?
I You'd have to ask Allison. It's Allison or Dave. I don't know. One of maybe both of theirs. She texted me about it and said, like, "Hey," with a lot of ease in the hey. "What do you think about a mustache?" And I thought it was fitting. We're in the Pacific Northwest. Benny's pretty hip. He's got this cool vibe, and it helped me stay warm through the fall.
Yes, Benny is definitely different than a lot of characters you played in the past. He has like a very much of a different vibe. Would you say you're more similar to Benny or not really?
Yes, I would say I am actually. And I think a lot of that has to go with Allison and our friendship. That's pretty much taking our friendship and taking many aspects of it, the core of it, and just applying it to the screen. The only thing missing is that I'm married and we have two kids. and just and taking Benny and having Benny fresh off a breakup in the middle of this pickle between two friends trying to maintain his sanity and figure out what he should or shouldn't say.
Yeah. So when I was watching the movie, I kept wondering, like, who is Benny more loyal to, Allie or Sean?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I think both, but he's caught because of the timing too. So we find Benny reuniting with his friend Allie from years ago, not knowing what's happening, and he is the best man or best friend of Sean at this wedding. And so his job is to kind of, be the best friend at that wedding, not add any stress to his buddy, played by Jay Ellis. Then all of a sudden, Allie comes with all the stress. And I'm good friends to both of them. I know things about both of them. I'm kind of like, I'm just trying to just stay cool through this wedding. I'm just trying to stay cool this wedding, but also just trying to really be a good friend. And I think that's kind of there's a fun game to play is how do you be a good friend and also try to not take on other people's bad energy while you're yourself trying to have a good time and find someone that you're vibing with at the wedding.
Yeah. Do you think you would have given the same advice to Allie as Benny does, which is to kind of just leave it alone, just stop?
That's a good question. I mean, yeah, I mean this is so we take some stretches here, story wise. I would hope that in real life, this doesn't present itself. um, but yeah, it's a tough position to be in, right? You don't want your friend messing up the other friend's wedding, but you also have to let people make their decisions in some way. They're adults, So I have to be like, hey, this is not my decision to make. Here's what I think. I think that you shouldn't mess with people on their wedding day. But at the same time, if you guys have some kind of other agreement, I have to figure out how to remove myself and protect myself in some ways. So I don't know what the answer is. Maybe. Maybe.
It's it's one of those things, even when I was watching it, that I'm like, I hope this only happens in movies because it's just so
Ooh,
awkward.
so awkward.
Because
Yeah.
when I was watching it, I don't know, like as Danny were watching it, did you really think the movie's already out, so people watched it? Did you
Yeah.
really think that Cassidy and Sean should have ended up together?
I don't know. I didn't know what to think. When I was reading it even, I remember thinking like, what's happening here? what is going on, you know? I do think that Benny would end up yelling at a lot of people, but also being like, whatever, you guys live your lives, be crazy, do your shit, I'm out. Go out. He's gonna go and he's just gonna have some good times, you know, and just try not to mess with people's lives so much. So I don't know. I don't know. But if they're happy, they're happy.
Yeah, I didn't think they were happy. I thought it was just like you've invested all of this money that like
Yeah.
even if you're like, oh, I want to make this work, I don't think people in general in quote unquote real life are going to be like as excited for this relationship to progress if you back out the wedding and then start over again. I think you lose all the investment and the support from your friends at that point.
It's a good conversation to have. You know, I think every relationship is different. It is unique. It's its own ecosystem. So I think this is one of those that maybe Benny wouldn't understand or Danny. But if they're happy and it's working for them, I'm all about it. I just, you know, want what's best for those people. So
Yeah. So the
yeah.
movie has Allie coming back to her hometown after working in Hollywood. How
Yeah.
was it like to like visit your hometown after working in TVs and movies?
Ooh, good question. There is this reflection. There is this inevitable jumping back into the past that happens. I'm from Chicago. I was actually telling this story to Allie that I went to my grade school reunion a few years ago. Yeah, grade schools, I guess, do have reunions. And it was really funny and really sweet. Like, one of the first people I ran into talked to me about baseball cards that he had of mine. And you just start having these flashbacks to when the person you were then and the person you are now. And the relationships you have in some ways they kind of immediately go back to what they were, right? With people you take on those roles pretty quickly, but you start also reflecting on like, who am I today? You know, and I like to try to personally, I always try to look back and be like, am I as happy today as I was then? um is there something that I was doing then that is different than now? And you know, and that's something that is kind of a fun thing to me to explore. So that's kind of what happens to me. I constantly like look back and try to remember things, and inevitably have some regrets about decisions I made that were poor. And you know, and you hope that you've grown and become better for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously when you first started working with Allison, it was on the TV show that you guys didn't write. How was it like to work with her in this capacity as she's the writer, her husband's the director, it's a
Yeah.
movie, it's years later. Like, how was that like?
Surprisingly easy. You know, they, like I said, I've gotten to know Dave and through Allison, and so we've had an easy sort of going relationship. And working with him on set was awesome. He gave us a playlist of some songs to listen to before we got there. He just has a really good energy on set that allows people to have space to create. And to the point where Alice and I were doing so many bits on set that I think everyone was like, all right, what is going on? This is completely distracting. You guys are doing weird community maybe bits. I don't even know if they're community bits. These are just weird things. But um, that was really cool. So it made it super easy. And that's kind of what it was like. You know, I kind of knew what the tone was from having conversation with Dave and Allison. And then they just really let us play. And it was just so nice to be with a group of people, Jay, Kiersey, Haley, that awesome cast, and to be able to go together and play, especially during this time when we haven't been able to a lot of people haven't been able to celebrate wedding weekends. I guess when we filmed this a year and a half ago, it just felt like a wonderful release. Yeah.
Yeah. What I find refreshing is I feel like a lot of times people want to stray away from that time in their life in Hollywood when they first like quote unquote made it. And it's just like, I don't want to be associated with that time. But it seems like the community cast really like each other and will semi kind of go out of their way to work together. Is that just kind of a rapport that you built with kind of like every episode of that show being a bottle episode that you guys are just in the library for like 6 years?
Time is a big part of it. We've spent so much time together, and it's a new era of television
Mhm.
where it's rare to see shows that are like have been on the air for 6 years and have 110 episodes. And also, it was a time of our lives when we were all together. For most of us, it was the first major show in our careers, and to be able to share that experience with a group of people is special. It's like going to college. Those people that I met in college, it's a unique time because you're as a human forming, and to be around people witnessing everyone make mistakes and also learn and grow, meet their significant others. Allison, I texted her a picture of when my wife Bridget and I had twins. We brought them to set. She's holding one of my babies in season 3. So there's these moments that you have just in life that are unique, that took place when we were filming Community, that I think will inevitably keep us tight because we've seen parts of each other, and we've experienced vulnerabilities in our own lives together just because we were spending such a large amount of time together.
Yeah, it's kind of like another version of college for you guys,
Yeah,
literally and
yeah,
figuratively.
yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. You don't know how much this is like a dream to me. So,
Oh, oh
yes,
my
like
gosh. How
I'm like the
wonderful.
hugest fan on earth. I had like my
Oh,
little professional hat on, but I'm like, okay, I can tell you that like I was so excited to talk
throw the
to you.
hat. Throw it. Yes. Amazing. Oh, it's a
Awesome.
pleasure.
Awesome. Well, I hope to talk to you on future projects and best of luck and happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Nice to
Bye.
meet you.
Oh, thanks. Bye.